The grieving family of Tyree Nichols celebrated his life and mourned his death at the hands of Memphis police officers yesterday. The high-profile funeral service featured a eulogy by the Reverend Al Sharpton and comments by Vice President Kamala Harris. Eileen Alfandari reports.
Sharpton, Vice President Kamala Harris, and Nichols' mother, Rovon Wells, called on Congress to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. The broad package of police reforms includes a national registry for police officers disciplined for misconduct, a ban on no-knock warrants, and other measures. Wells fought back tears as she spoke.
I just need whatever that George Floyd bill, we need it passed.
Yeah.
To take some action, because there should be no other child that should suffer the way my son.
Vice President Harris said the beating of Nichols was a violent act that went against the stated mission of police to ensure public safety.
This is a family that lost their son and their brother through an act of violence at the hands and the feet of people who had been charged with keeping them safe.
In the 3 weeks since Nichols' death, 5 police officers were fired and charged with his murder. Their specialized unit was disbanded. 2 other officers were suspended. 2 Memphis Fire Department emergency medical workers and a lieutenant were also fired. More discipline could be coming. I'm Eileen Alfandari for KPFA News.
Ukrainian officials say Russian missiles have struck residential areas in an eastern city of Kramatorsk for the second time in the last 24 hours. Today's attack came while top European Union officials held talks in Kiev with the Ukraine government as the war with Russia approaches its one-year milestone. The latest strike in Kramatorsk came as rescue crews searched for survivors in the rubble of an apartment building struck by a Russian missile late yesterday that killed at least 3 people and wounded 21 others. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky warns Russia is amassing thousands of troops for a major strike for its one-year anniversary of the war in Ukraine. In the U.S., Progressive Democrat Representative Ilhan Omar released an audio recording of a threat she's received after House Republicans voted to oust her from the House Foreign Affairs Committee yesterday. A final vote to remove the nation's only Somali-born Muslim lawmaker from committee is scheduled for today.
As you put a bullet in your head and get the out of my country, you sucking bitch. I'll kill you.
In a post on social media, Omar said these threats increase whenever Republicans put a target on my back. She's called the Republican efforts to oust her over comments she made that were characterized as anti-Semitic hypocritical, noting the party opposed removing GOP lawmakers from committees over incendiary, violent remarks they had made in the last session. Homeland Security Secretary Cuban-American Alejandro Mayorkas could be next. Alex Gonzalez reports.
Arizona Representative Andy Biggs said he is filing the articles of impeachment because Mayorkas is, quote, an immediate, imminent threat to the United States of America.
If these are his policies that he finds accord with, then he must be impeached because he is a public official who has lost public trust.
I'm Alex Gonzalez for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
Bipartisan legislation to tighten background checks was introduced in Washington, D.C. to address gun violence in the U.S. yesterday. Christopher Martinez reports.
Brian Fitzpatrick is a Republican from Pennsylvania.
Our Bipartisan Background Checks Act will make sure that firearms are kept out of the hands of domestic abusers, out of the hands of felons, and out of the hands of the mentally ill, while still respecting the constitutional rights of law-abiding citizens.
The Bipartisan Background Check Act aims to close loopholes that let about 1 in 5 gun sales go forward without background checks. Democrat Mike Thompson of California says he's introduced the measure in every congressional session since the Sandy Hook school shooting a decade ago.
The only corner in America where background checks are not bipartisan is over on the floor of the United States Senate. And we want to make sure we change that this year.
Passing new gun legislation in the majority Republican House might not be easy. Even in California, the predecessor of the concealed gun bill failed last year. But Howard University student and activist Mariah Cooley with the group March for Our Lives is not deterred.
We will protest in the streets, vote in the polls, and run against tired and old leadership and win. If that's what it takes to keep us safe, then we're going to keep fighting.
I'm Christopher Martinez.
President Joe Biden's attorney says the FBI did not find any classified documents when it raided the president's Rehoboth Beach, Delaware home yesterday as part of its investigation into the potential mishandling of classified documents. Agents did take some handwritten notes and other materials related to Joe Biden's time as vice president for review, his attorney said. The Federal Reserve extended its fight against high inflation by raising its key interest rate a quarter point, its 8th hike since March. And the Fed signals even though inflation is easing, it remains high enough to require further rate hikes. That move has been criticized by progressive Democrats and some economists. Elizabeth Warren, a senator of Massachusetts, likened it to causing a car crash into a recession. I'm Christina Onnested, reporting for Pacifica Radio.